Okay, today's date is June the 26th at 7:01 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is the Tennessee Town Hall, and the hosts are Paul, Pappas, Sean Sorensen. Lisa helps out so very often, and we're grateful for her. And I am handing it off over to Paul.
Hello, everybody. I feel like this is a brand new meeting, but we've been here a half hour on pregame already, so it doesn't feel so new. So Lisa and I were talking the other day, and we figured, hey, this might be a another topic just to start off, and then it'll be more open, whatever questions we got. But our assembly meetings, as far as public and private, you wanna explain it, Lisa?
Sure. So the really only public assembly that we have is our General Assembly. Our sub-assembly meetings, assembly meetings are not public. They're actually sub-assemblies and they're internal to the assembly. Okay. And although all of our people have the advantage of, being able to attend those and be able to, request recordings or whatever your state does, the only one that can be actually attended and listened to is all the people on your state. Doesn't matter whether status corrected or not. They can attend your General Assembly. Now, they can't vote on your General Assembly. They can't comment on your General Assembly. They could try to comment. They could raise their hands, or you could have a special portion if you know you've got guests and to answer questions, or you could close your General Assembly meeting and then have a question and answer while they're there. But everything that goes on in our General Assembly is transparent. It's open for anyone to see. Now, if you had something sensitive come up, maybe there is let's say, a militia document that needs to be approved. Maybe it's an operational plan, something like that. Maybe it's the discipline of a member. You can actually close your General Assembly and have a special session just to handle that issue. Okay. It should be extraordinary because your General Assembly is what people are looking for. What all of you are looking for, why you are here, is that you were looking for transparency in and access to your government, right? So, so having the ability to have your General Assembly open to the public so that they can see your business. It's your business meeting. I always say it's the reporting and voting assembly. Now, before you vote on a General Assembly, if you have guests in and you're voting on issues of the assembly, you'll have to ask them to refrain from voting because they're not eligible if they're not status corrected. And they're not eligible if they are not domiciled on your state. Okay. And you need to make that announcement. But that's really as easy as it is. I often say we make it hard, right? So General Assembly is just something that can be reported on, or it can be open to the public. Okay. That
Any questions on that for Lisa or us?
some
No.
there are some assemblies, some state assemblies who hold just what they call a General Assembly for anyone to attend, public, whatever, sort of like this town hall, but they don't do any business. And then they close their business meeting, which I personally disagree with, because the people on our states are supposed to have the advantage to know what plans we are making for all the people on our state. Because when we set state law, when we vote on things, we're setting our own state laws. We're setting our own statutes. So So we have to be careful that when we're putting those things out there, that we're thinking about the millions of other people that we would be setting that particular law that we're voting on. We have to remember them. We have to remember that when they come in, they're going to have to adhere to that law that they did not get to vote on. Okay. But they still have to adhere to it until it's either voted out or amended. Okay. Just because they didn't vote on it doesn't mean that they don't have to follow it. They have to follow it until they vote it out or amend it. Which is why our documents are always living. They're not chiseled into stone, so they can be amended and edited and re-voted on at any time. If we find something that's not working for our assemblies, then we can edit it. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody?
Sure does. Hey, I jumped ahead too real quick. Schuster, if you can run Bivens for me.
Sure thing, Paul. This meeting is public. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory language in public forum, including the chat, is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflict and false allegations, is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting that is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency at the federal, state, city, or county present? Do you now or have you ever received money or personal support of any kind from the intelligence community? Is there a response to this Bivens declaration for the first time? Second time? Third time? Anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including the territorial United States or municipal United States, anyone who is being paid or coerced to be here, must fully disclose their presence and purpose now or leave the premises. If they subsequently show up as federal witnesses, they are discredited for failure to disclose. Upon no response to this Bivens declaration, this meeting shall now proceed. Back to you, Continental Chief Marshal Paul Pappas.
Thank you, David. So anyway, Lisa covered that pretty good. So now I want to talk about another one that we've seen so many problems in the de facto side that we don't want to do the same here. And one of those is safety. You know, you go and you look at the Constitution and we're not, as a government, responsible for that safety. It's very vague the way it's written. It's like, you know, if there's an imminent danger to public, then government is delegated to step in and help take care of it. But it has to be, they have to be able to prove that there is imminent danger in order for them to provide safety. So when we're talking about the assemblies too, you have to know that we want people here. We don't want them out. We want people to be able to talk, even though people may not agree on the discussions. Not agreeing sparks debate, and we're able to then use our own morals and values and virtues all as a group to settle those things. But we're not responsible for that safety. So if you're freaking out like, oh no, U.S. citizens going to be inside of our assembly meeting or whatever, these are Americans. They're just not papered up yet. But they are Americans for the most part. And if they're not, they might even be trying to migrate and become American or whatever. You have to be able to allow people in and not be so conscious of safety. It's not our responsibility. Our responsibility for safety is for ourselves within self-governing and all that. And then watching out for each other. You know, each one of us, if we're near each other, we watch each other's backs. That's part of the militia and all that. But we want to be real careful that our government isn't using safety and overthinking things to get a result that you're looking for. You got to follow what that Constitution is, because that was written, the original Constitution was written by the people for the people. And it was Americans that were doing that government. So just like us, Americans doing the government, we got to still follow what's right for the people and not overstep what those authorities are in government. And everything else goes back to the people, the 10th Amendment. So if you're trying to overstep anything as a government and force things in any position, you're already outside that Constitution and you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Governments weren't instituted to protect you from yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely true.
There was an admonishment at one time that said, do never to trade our safety for security, right? So we were always meant to take care of our affairs ourselves, which is self-governance. But in the larger issues, our assemblies, our militias, and this is a common misconception, I think, out in the world, in our world, is that our militias can be county-based. No. County militias were given to the states, not to the counties, to the states. The county can have a unit of the militia on their county, but they still all go back to the collective militia of the state. So, and that's where our states, our counties are protected by the state. And that's where our safety and our security really is embedded, is there. In fact, I just recently made a comment in a community meeting about, they were talking about putting up flock cameras. And I said, are you asking us to trade safety for security? Said I, for one, would not vote for a camera. Guess what? The entire community said no. They recognize the danger in it too. Okay. So.
Go ahead, David Schuster.
Yeah, you brought up militia. We've been discussing in our militia some of the things that fall in the militia. And from my understanding, what they have as state troopers, we're supposed to have, and that comes out of the militia. Am I correct at that?
From what I know, it can be. It's the only way I see it, so that the state has patrol, for highways and everything else the way it's supposed to be, but it would be trooper or ranger, whatever the deal is, but they're under the state. And I had heard afterwards that, I guess it's the state's choice. I guess if you choose not to have a trooper, that's up to the state. But if you are going to choose to have a trooper or highway patrol or ranger or whatever you want to call them that way, that would be out of the militia.
May I?
Go ahead, Sean.
But
I'm not done.
yeah, I'm responding to it though. But
Okay,
you
go
got to
ahead.
remember that all state highways go through counties, right? So if you put on a state trooper, it is actually working for the state, right? So if the militia is running the troopers, which historically that's what happened in Tennessee, Tennessee took the militia and turned it into state troopers, right? So now you have state troopers that have authority from the state to basically patrol all of the state highways. But if you think about it, the county sheriff could be patrolling their part of the state highway. You wouldn't necessarily need a separate force to do that. You may need more people, you know, within your county sheriffs to patrol it, but, you know, and then go ahead.
That also comes to a decision of the people, though, which way they want to go. If they want the sheriffs doing it, the people can decide that. Go ahead,
So
David.
my second part on that is, okay, so if the state troopers, if the state wants that, comes out of the militia, then couldn't the state troopers be like the officials in the militia? So that when the militia is called, they are them and they can, wherever they are assigned, if you go by areas or sections or whatever, how you split it up in your clusters or whatever, then they would kind of take over that area when the people come to join the militia.
It's possible, but at the same time, the sheriff, when the sheriff needs backup, because you're not going to have thousands of cops like they do in de facto. I mean, before when we were talking about it long ago, there was like a number we had kind of set up, and it was like one sheriff for every 1,200 Americans on the county. But when they need backup, then a sheriff calls for a posse comitatus. A posse comitatus is more like special weapons and tactics that come out of the militia per county. Each county would have that in order to back up the sheriff. And it's very possible that that same posse comitatus could be the one that the states choose to patrol those highways within that county. I mean, there's a lot of different options, and that's what's great about our government is our people are allowed to decide that. But it could also go to a Continental Congress where they decide, hey, these state highways are going to be governed by the Continental Congress. Then you have to make a vote. Then those state highways, it all depends on the vote of all the states in the union, what they decide. You know, and in the de facto right now, the trooper and all that, or highway patrol, they are the ones that run all the security for the president when the president comes into town. You know, so you might end up having something like that too for us, but it would all depend on what they decide in a Continental Congress. And a lot of these things have been decided before that we could look into and see, and some things we'll get rid of and some things we'll keep. We don't know until we get to Continental Congress.
And that's kind of like federal highways, right? Federal corridors.
Well, postal routes, you know, Route 66 and all that, that's Continental Marshals, that's postal route. You know, so when you're talking about postal routes, if any of those highways are a postal route, then a Continental Marshal would patrol it.
I yield.
FIP Enterprises, I'm not sure who you are. You're going to need to change your name and then turn your camera on.
I've been on here before. How you doing? This is Mike from Michigan.
Mike from Michigan, you're going to need to turn on your camera. There you go.
I can't speak for whatever states you're in, but here in Michigan, the roads, if you challenge the territorial jurisdiction, the roads are owned by we the people. As far as the MSP, the Michigan State Police, we have documentation by their own admission they're in office de facto. They do not have any authority to stop, detain, arrest, or even issue security instruments, i.e. tickets. They can be advisory only, but that's as far as they go. We are working on getting them shut down. I am working with Sheriff Dara Leaf into stopping their shenanigans. We've been shutting down the flock cameras, AI centers. Why? Because those flock cameras is a quasi branch of law enforcement. There's a private corporation, and they're collecting data on everybody, and those information is being collected and stored in those data centers. So this is all completely unconstitutional. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Ninth Amendment, 10th Amendment, natural rights doctrine, and a lot of us have what are called biometric trusts, and therefore the municipalities are violating our trust and our guidelines of our trusts, and will be held accountable in federal court should they.
Hey Mike, we don't do trust. Trust is ecclesiastical.
Okay, well we do. The
No,
government.
we don't. In the
Okay.
American States Assembly, we don't.
Okay.
We don't do trust. And I thought maybe you had a question, but you're going to want to host your own call if you want to teach because you're teaching something we don't do.
I'm not trying to teach. I'm just letting you know what we're doing up here.
Yeah, but what
Um,
you're doing up there is part of the American States Assembly, part of the Union. And if you're doing trust, you're going against what the American States Assembly does. Trust law is ecclesiastical.
well, our founding documents are a trust indenture in itself. We, the people, are the grantors and the beneficiaries. The public functionaries are the trustees and have a fiduciary responsibility to be the people as beneficiaries.
You're talking all kinds of de facto David Straight stuff, and that's not what we
I
do.
don't follow David Straight.
No, but what you're talking about is what he teaches or what he taught when he was alive. That same stuff, and that's not what we do. And
Okay.
that's the difference here between David Straight and the American States Assembly. We're actually putting together a government so that we make the rules. We're not putting together a government so that we can get the best cheese as slaves as U.S. citizens. That's the whole difference. Go ahead, Lisa.
So sometimes I think, Mike, one of the confusions that happens is with American state nationals, and as Paul kind of referred to it, David Straight methods, and there's been a great confusion in the melding of those two things and what it means. And have to understand what David Straight's mission and what some of the, I guess, talking heads out there that deal more with de facto sides of things and is the fact that they were trying to work with U.S. citizens who were actually dual citizens, both federal or municipal employees who also claimed on their time off, on their personal time, that they were American state nationals. Okay, so some of this is the hybrid. What you're talking about is a hybrid between the two, and it's dual. It's almost dual nationality, or it is dual nationality, in terms of air jurisdiction / land and soil, or maritime jurisdiction, UCC, and land and soil. And that's what Paul's trying to point out to you is
Okay.
that's what it is. And what our true mission as American state nationals is solely land and soil jurisdiction and solely land and soil jurisdictional methods of governance. Okay.
Okay.
So
Well, we are doing everything we can to get back to the Republic, get everything the way it's supposed to be under the Republic. And we are having success in doing a lot of the things that we're doing. Sorry, I had surgery yesterday on my jaw, so I took a slap shot to the jaw, and then I had surgery yesterday, so I'm having a little trouble talking a little bit. But yeah, we're doing everything we can. Sheriff Darleaf is on board with us. We've got a lot of followings and doing what we're doing. I'm not completely 100% understanding what you guys are doing. My understanding on some of the conversations I've tuned into before is that are you guys filling other like seats of positions or something like that to where you're almost like a parallel government? Or am I understanding that correctly?
We are federal. We are the people. Federal government, they've stolen that name. Federal is federation, okay? Federation of states, that's federal. Federal is the people. We're the author of those laws. It may seem like a parallel government at the time, and all the governments for all the states are getting set up to be seated. And then once they get to that, Milligan ex parte is put into play. They're put back in their box, and then there is no parallel government like that. We'll still be dealing with everything as Americans, and it won't be British that's doing it. It won't be ecclesiastical that's doing it. No Vatican, no British. It'll be Americans making the decisions.
Lisa?
So when you say what we're doing, are you not part of the Michigan Assembly?
No. You guys try to hook me up with somebody. I never heard from them. So I'm just trying to, you guys send me an email and I try to tune in whenever I can to try
Yeah,
and figure
so
out what
we
you guys
we
are
send
doing.
you an email so we can teach you, not the other way around. Because
So
what you're doing helps for US citizens, but it does not help for American state nationals that are setting up their government. And when you're dealing with this sheriff and he's on board with you, is he a constitutional sheriff?
He's as close to a constitutional sheriff we have in Michigan.
Okay, well, he accepts federal grants. And if he accepts federal grants, he is not a constitutional sheriff. That term doesn't even exist. None of them are constitutional sheriffs. We'll have land jurisdiction sheriffs, but a constitutional sheriff, that's like, hey, this guy will protect my rights. Well, those rights were written there to bind him. Those are the
so
chains that bind him.
so may I, Paul?
Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
Um, so Mike, as Paul was explaining, we're federal. So the Federation of States was the first organized group of the colonies to form states. As they became states, the colonies, it was the federation of those states. That was the original, the United States of America. Okay.
Yeah.
And they formed the Confederation of States under the Articles of Confederation. And those became the states of, so that they named us the state of Michigan and the state of Ohio and the state of Tennessee. And then the next iteration came in the fact that the Articles of Confederation were so narrow, they were so constraining to the states that that there was no ability to grow the territories within what the Articles of Confederation stated. And so they realized that what they were going to have to do is they were going to have to either rewrite the Articles of Confederation, or they were going to have to write a constitution. And they decided that they would pick, of course, the Northwest Ordinance was in there too, but they would have to pick to go ahead, and they wanted to put the Great American Experiment into session, which was a federal republic. Now, the word federal in itself means contracted. So they're contracting us, they're electing us, and they're putting us into service in certain ways for us to do business for them. So the Federal Republic is a contractee of the Federation of States. Okay. And so all of those states of the organic, what I refer to as organic states of, their names are Ohio, right? They take and they write their constitution for their
Employees.
Employees, basically, right? So we've got the Federal Republic, but the Federal Republic also had to honor some of the treaties that were involved. And in those treaties, they were going to go ahead and they were going to give governance of the high seas, and over, for example, the delivery of mail from Europe. They also threw in the protections of the international borders, because they didn't have an army, they didn't have a navy at that time, the Federal Republic. So they contracted with the British territorial government, and pardon my French, the bloody Brits named themselves the United States of America, or United States of America.
With a lowercase t on the.
With a cat, yeah, a lowercase t. So when you're reading, as you're reading statute, you're reading law, you're reading history, when you see a lowercase t and it says United States of America, you're talking about the British territorial government. It's a federal contract, the federal government, meaning contracted government. They turned around and And then there was the Constitution, that was 1789. And then there was the Constitution of 1790, which was the municipal constitution. Municipal meaning that it actually belonged to the Pope. Okay, the Roman Curia ran those, and they took over basically what the states of were going to do within the states. And they were given a very specific constitution or conduct or contract to do that. And they named themselves, lowercase t, the United States. And they were not supposed to do anything but be inside Washington, D.C. They
10
weren't
miles,
supposed to be
10 miles square is ran by the Pope.
right. That there's boundary stones there of 10 miles square. And so what we're trying to do as the American states assemblies are to go back to institute the de jure government that ran in parallel with the federally contracted government up until 1861. And at the Civil War, our contingent of the Continental Congress walked out. And the federal government never reconstructed after the war the de jure side of the government. Okay.
Okay. You also have
So we've been missing for 165 years. And most people didn't know it because they wiped it out of the history books.
land, air, and water.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But Mike, you
Essentially.
also mentioned something earlier that you may not have caught, but right now you are the state of Michigan, okay? And being that state of Michigan and you're trying to restore the republic, I'll tell you right now that the state of Michigan has nothing to do with setting up the republic.
No, none.
Michigan has something to do with it, but the state of Michigan does not. And when she was saying that, I don't know if you caught it, but if you just look at math, the word of is a division. You cannot have a state of Michigan without having a Michigan first. And Michigan is where the people live. That's the land, Michigan. The state of is a corporate fiction, made up, hired, employees. So you have to have a Michigan before they can even choose to hire a state of Michigan to do business for them. So right now, the state of Michigan would be the ones doing the business for Michigan. And if they chose down the road to hire somebody to do that externally, that's up to them. And then that would be state of, but they would be in charge of it as the boss. You know, you were never taught federal, territorial, and municipal. You were taught judicial, executive and legislative. But federal is the people, where those rights you were talking about and amendments you were talking about, we're the authors of those, and they don't apply to us. There's a lot more rights given to us by God that aren't even written in those amendments. But it is written in the 10th Amendment that it goes back to the states and the people respectively. And the 9th Amendment protects that sovereignty. So we know what you're talking about. You're sitting in the wrong spot with state of Michigan. So if you'll yield for a little bit, and you can raise your hand if you have another question or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it over to Deborah Ann, who is actually on Michigan, on the land and soil of Michigan, not the state of. Go ahead, Deborah Ann.
Thank you, Paul. I just wanted to reach out to Mike from the assembly to be a contact where he could get some answers, questions to answers, meet the people that actually are the government on Michigan and how we interface and how law works and that type of thing. Welcome. You're asking and you're talking and you've got a great head on your shoulders. It's just learning and being educated between the land and soil, the jurisdiction as opposed to the subcontractors and their jurisdiction. So if you'd like to for me to reach out to you, I'd be happy to do that. There are many that you might connect with on the assembly. Guys that you could talk to, don't have to talk to a woman if you don't want to, but I'm here and willing to speak. And I just wanted to give you that offer. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
And we
yield.
have
I can put
we have
my
a few-
email in the chat if you want.
perfect. And your last name, please, Mike, so they have it. If you
I
would.
don't have a last name. I only go by my Christian first name and hyphen in the middle. Last name is a tax ID that they use for tax purposes stemming from the Roman Empire.
Okay, Mike, so
we
here we go again.
We
So
we
you-
actually call that your family name, so you can put Mike of the family.
I use
Whatever.
it in that text as well. Yes.
But
Right.
even then, your Christian name that they look at in court or whatever is your first and middle name. And then
Yeah.
the last name doesn't belong to you, it's family.
Right.
But you can't put a hyphen. Now you're going into the David Gould and all, or Russell J. Gould and all them. That it seems like you've picked up on a lot of different things along the way, and you're implementing certain things that are wrong. And the name you were given at birth never had the hyphen in it. It didn't, it had a family name so that they know who you are. We are not them. We use the name that you were given that shows your first, middle, and last name that is shown on the birth certificate.
I am not that name on the birth certificate. That name belongs to the state of Michigan.
We use the name for identification to be able to paper up. Once you're papered up, none of it belongs to the state of Michigan.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
It all belongs to you. Every name that they've ever used, when they go for tax, I don't know what your middle name is, but I'll just, you look like you might be a Larry. I'll just call it Larry. Mike, Larry, whatever, Mike L, whatever, ML, whatever, every one of those names, you claim them all back.
Mm-hmm.
You're responsible for all of those names, not them. And as we get to Milligan ex parte, if you look up that law, when our government's in place, they get put aside. All this stuff you learned to fight them, they're going to be gone. And then you learned all that for nothing. When it's a lot easier just to learn how to set up the government, get to Milligan ex parte, put them back in their box, because with Milligan ex parte, as long as we have our own government, they can't have their tribunals. They're gone. They're out.
Right.
So
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff you learned to fight in the court and the names and all that, we know you know what you're talking about when it comes to that de facto side of it. But I mean, we got 45 people here, so 44 of them are looking at you going, okay, he's lost. He's lost because we've all been through it. We've all been through it.
But
And
we want to save you.
yeah, we want to save you too, and it's got to be done the way we are. And I've seen a lot of these different groups and all that do things, and I have never seen anyone do the one thing I do. And that is, we offer 2 ounces of gold. And right now, gold's down a little bit, but it's going to come back up. But we offer 2 ounces of gold to anybody that can prove what we're doing is wrong. There is nobody else. David Straight, Russell J. Gould, all these other ones, they don't do it. They won't do it because they know that if they did, one of us would go in there and prove them wrong, and we'd get our money. And we've been putting this out on calls for a long time. You're on Michigan. I mean, we got Canada here, Oakland, Ohio, Florida.
South
We got
Africa.
states, yeah, South Africa. We got states from everywhere on this call. Any one of them, all they got to do is prove what we're doing is wrong, setting up our government to get the Milligan ex parte and put them back in their box, and you can get 2 ounces of gold. There's nobody else that'll offer it. And if you go do your learning, you'll realize that I'm not paying you nothing. You won't collect it because you won't be able to prove it wrong.
And the Brits have pretty much done this around the world.
Did
Yeah.
you say Milligan ex parte?
No.
Mulligan.
Ex parte
Oh,
Milligan.
Mulligan.
Milligan. Milligan.
Okay.
So, Mike, one of the other things I was going to do and talk to you a little bit about is jurisdiction, because what we are doing is really in the 3 jurisdictions of law. So there is the land and soil jurisdiction of law, the law of the land.
Mhm.
There is the commercial jurisdiction of maritime and admiralty law.
Mhm.
Law of the pirates is the way I always try to describe it. That's what England and commerce all operate under. Okay.
Yep.
And then you have the law of the air, which is ecclesiastical, canonical. The corporations are all formed under the jurisdiction of air. And municipalities and governments. Have you ever heard the Pope referred to as the kingmaker in his day? Because he used to crown all the kings. Okay. And
Okay.
so that's the air jurisdiction. And what I described to you within the formations of basically the 3 governments that formed the United States is you have the Federation of States, the United States of America, the land and the land. You have the British territorial, the United States of America. That's your maritime and admiralty. And then you have the United States, which is the municipal government, and municipal governments are under the air jurisdiction or the Pope. And those are the 3 different jurisdictions of the law. Okay.
All right.
And also trusts are governed under the papal or under the air jurisdiction. Okay. So all of these are part of the treaties from 1783, the Treaty of Paris, the Treaty of Ghent, and then they were further developed in the Northwest Ordinance. Okay.
Mhm.
The Treaty of
So
Versailles.
this was, and the Treaty of Versailles, of course, yes.
Yep.
So, those are all some great starting points to understand. And I would say that most of the U.S. citizens that haven't discovered the American States Assembly yet don't realize that there are 3 jurisdictions of law, that there are actually supposed to be a de jure operating government and a de facto operating government, that the de jure government is actually the sovereign government. Basically, the
Okay.
people are sovereign. Okay.
Yeah.
And the de facto is not. They're contracted. They're corporations. They're governed. And they are subject to all of us and to the sovereign governments that we represent on each of our states.
That have been missing for 160 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they actually did this fraud to England too. You look at the king and all that, the king and queen, and they were just there as a show, I guess, because they have a de facto government too that was pulling the strings. So then it all goes tied back into central banks and everything else with the fraud, but they did the same thing there. That's what it would be here, is we would be the ones with the crown because we're sovereign. So in order to be sovereign, you're a royalty. You're not a citizen that owes a duty. You're sovereign. You're royalty, and without subjects.
Right.
And you know, in honor of July 4th that we're getting ready to celebrate, that is 1776, land of the free. We're free. Free from what? We're free. We're free from any king's rule. And made all of us kings and queens and sovereign in our own right. That's why we left them. And everybody's like, all right, we're free. July 4th, 1776. Wasn't even ratified till like 2 years later. And then all of a sudden you have the War of 1812. Who attacked us in 1812?
The British.
The same ones we were free from in 1776.
They were stealing our people off of our ships, press ganging them onto their ships and into their wars. So it's their fault. It is.
And the 14th Amendment didn't free anybody, it enslaved everybody.
Yeah.
True.
So we don't go by that 14th Amendment. We are not, every one of us, our paperwork says we are not a 14th Amendment citizen.
No, I never claimed to be a 14th. I'm a Fifth Amendment citizen. And I cannot be a citizen of a corporation.
Or you can't
Or
be
anybody who can be a citizen of a corporation.
So when you are a citizen, the definition of, do you know what the definition of citizen is?
Which spelling are you using, the Fifth Amendment or the 14th Amendment?
Doesn't matter whichever one you want.
What's a citizen?
What is a citizen? A citizen is someone who works for a government, whether that's de jure or it's de facto. Works for. We are all sovereign. So we start out sovereign, and unless we raise our hands to actually claim a role and be elected to roles in our government, we are not citizens. We are just sovereign.
we're not subjects of the crown.
We're not
Yeah.
subject to anyone.
But when we elect them, we call them state citizens. And it says it in law. You can be a state citizen and not be a United States citizen. So the ones here that are elected are state citizens, but they don't give up their sovereignty. They are also kings and queens that we have chosen to speak for us in government. They're not above us. Nothing. And in our government, the people rule.
You
The
can't,
people are the ones in charge.
you can't
Okay.
be sovereign and a citizen at the same time.
So so if I understand what you're saying correctly, the Constitution still has life and power, correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Their side of the fence.
I'm sorry?
For their side of the fence, because
Yeah.
the Constitution is there to constrain them,
Correct.
not to
Yes.
constrain us.
That,
It-
that Constitution does not
acknowledges-
apply to you.
It acknowledges our rights as Americans and makes the United States and the United States citizens respect us. Marlene, your mic is hot.
I got her.
It makes the U.S. citizens and the U.S. citizen government, the U.S. government, respect our rights. That's all it does. It recognizes us. That's what the 9th and the 10th Amendment are. I'd rather be a 9th Amendment and a 10th Amendment than I'd be anything.
Yeah, then a fifth. That right there is horrible. Those rights and that Constitution was not written for you. You wrote it.
Right. It's written to force them, the public functionaries, to protect my rights, my God-given rights. It isn't
Yeah, but
I don't get my
those-
rights from the Constitution. My rights come from God. The Constitution is there to, like you said, restrain them from violating my God-given right.
Correct.
Right,
Right.
but when they made your grandparents a U.S. citizen, it automatically made you one. And you never got a chance to come back through customs back to the land because they put you lost at sea when they did the whole Social Security and all that.
But I
So-
can declare my sovereign independence from that under Cruden v. Neal, 1796.
You can't go off of that. If you're a U.S. citizen, none of those laws apply to you. You are
Right.
British. If you're a U.S. citizen, you are British, period. You are not American.
So
You're not
essentially,
alive. You're a ward of the state.
every one of us that are here that are on our state assemblies who are American state nationals, we've actually used the Immigration Act of 1779, and we have immigrated ourselves back because in 1779, that first Immigration Act allowed people who were here on the United States to declare whether or not they wanted to be Americans or they wanted to keep their British citizenship or their Spanish citizenship or any of those other crown-based citizens. And the Immigration Act 1779 is what we declare to take ourselves out of that presumption of U.S. citizen and back on to being just an American.
Okay.
Every one of us have done that. And then we take that declaration and we make a declaration of political status, because that essentially American or U.S. citizen is political status. And we turn that into the United States Secretary of United States Secretary of State to change our master files so that when they see us, they see Americans, they don't see U.S. citizens.
Yeah, if you ask anybody on this call, there's not one of us that'll tell you we're a U.S. citizen.
The
Okay.
Not one of us.
The legal definition of a U.S. citizen is a citizen of Washington, D.C. or any of its territories.
Which means a U.S. citizen is literally has no nation. You're nationless.
And upon leaving the borders of Washington, D.C., automatically becomes involved in interstate commerce.
Wait a minute. Can you repeat that?
A U.S. citizen, upon leaving Washington, D.C., automatically becomes involved in interstate commerce. Therefore, the interstate commerce clause basically blankets over every U.S. citizen, no matter their location.
Didn't Justice Scalia rule that just being born does not automatically place you in commerce? That we have the
Justice
right.
Scalia only speaks for Brits. He only speaks for Brits, and U.S. citizens are here because we all have the right to travel. We're all guaranteed safe passage. So we have South Africa here, we have Canada here, okay?
Yeah.
Two other countries. We have the right to travel to Canada. We have the right to travel to South Africa. And they owe us safe passage under air jurisdiction law. That's international, okay? Air jurisdiction by the Pope. And air don't mean in an airplane. It means when a sovereign leaves their land where they're sovereign and their feet land on somebody else's sovereign land.
Explain.
So that land says, hey, welcome, come eat with us, come sit down, all that. And we do the same for them. So that is why U.S. citizens are here. They are British. We're not trying to get rid of them. Like if they want to come here and work and do stuff, they owe taxes. They owe all the stuff that you see. We don't.
Explain getting deported to the land of your birth.
Oh yeah, there you go. So do you know that the punishment for giving up your U.S. citizenship is you get deported back to the land of your birth? Anybody in America, if you give up your U.S. citizenship, you get deported back to the land of your birth. So we got deported. Every one of us got deported. And we got deported back to the state that we were born.
Mm-hmm.
And where we're heir to the minerals and everything else on that state.
And that's why you take your like I'm Minnesota. Minnesotan, your nationality from the state you were born. Just like somebody from Germany, if they were born in Germany, they're German national when they're here. If they denounce their citizenship, they get deported back to Germany. And that's why we get deported back to the land of our birth. But if it was, how is it, Paul?
Well, I have friends. One friend who came from Brazil. He was here for more than 7 years. He didn't have any crimes, no arrests, no nothing, upstanding citizen. He decided he wanted to be an American. So he did his paperwork. He became an American national and gave up his U.S. citizenship. Wouldn't that deport him back to Brazil?
No, because he gets naturalized.
He got naturalized. He became an American.
He adopted
So
a state.
yeah, he adopted a state. He adopted California, where I come from, where the land of my birth is. He adopted California as his state, did his paperwork, and became American. So when he told him, here, take back your U.S. citizenship, they couldn't deport him. He was American. He was an American state national.
Okay.
And so when we travel to another country, they call us U.S. citizens, right? Why are we not American nationals? When a Mexican comes here, they're Mexican nationals. When
Chinese national, Russian national.
right, we should be American nationals. And the only way to be that is to be an American. If you're a U.S. citizen, then obviously you're a U.S. citizen wherever you go.
But all of this is legal fiction crap. We were put here by God and that's it. Okay, so that's all legal fiction crap. And it's done on paper. And because of Social Security and all that, your grandparents said, okay, we're US citizens, no longer American. If you look at anybody that was born before 1932, they have a whole different birth certificate. They're not US citizens, they were American. And then you look at the stamp on their new birth certificate, the bond, and that was like in 54, 55. The ones that I've seen that were done in 32, they were all done in like 54, 55. But I tell a little story so that you can see it, okay? Because I'm sure you've traveled before out of the country, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you travel, you go through customs. And custom takes you out of America and you're now C jurisdiction while you're traveling under the crown. Okay. The crown is in charge of that. You're traveling, whether it's by a plane, by a spaceship, or by a boat. You're traveling to that country. When you land on that land, they stamp your card. And then now you're under air jurisdiction because you are there on their land, their sovereign land. But when you come home, they bring you right back. But if you left as a U.S. citizen, they bring you back as a U.S. citizen. That's how customs works. So when they gave Social Security, they bypassed customs. They put you out at sea, lost at sea, make you a ward of the state. And you never knew, because ignorance isn't part of the law. You're supposed to know. They're not going to tell you. You're supposed to come back through customs back to America, to the land of your birth. But you didn't know that. So we all learned it. And you can't prove it, or I'll give you 2 ounces of gold. And we brought our paperwork back through customs because we never left. We told them, here. We're not lost at sea. This is us. We're American. This is where we were born. This is who we are. And now we're here. We brought ourselves back through customs. And when we did that, we came back as American, not as U.S. citizen.
And on the world stage, they basically said they don't know what happened to us. We're lost at sea. We're in interregnum.
Yeah. But when we came back, we're no longer a ward of the state. We're able to speak for ourselves. We're able to tell our truth in court, even in that de facto court, we're able to tell our truth. You do an affidavit, we do a declaration of truth in the form of an affidavit, and only somebody who's alive can do a declaration of truth. Somebody who's dead can't.
Right.
So we're no longer dead. We were lost at sea. We came back home. Go ahead, Lisa.
So Mike, I've listened to a lot of Sheriff Darleaf. I appreciate what he's doing. He does have a wonderful handle on what common law is. Even Sheriff Darleaf, as a U.S. citizen and a sheriff, could turn around and claim his American heritage and be an American state national. And when he's working for the corporation, as long as he's willing to uphold the public law and do the right thing under common law for any American he would encounter, he could be an American state national when he got off and keep all of his American rights, not just the privileges he's given as a U.S. citizen. Okay? U.S. citizens have privileges. Americans have rights. Okay?
Right.
And until you actually go through the process of what we're talking about in terms of the immigration laws, you still only have privileges. That's why they can attach to you and joinder you in the way that they do. Okay?
So you guys got
So
rid of your driver's license, voter cards, all that stuff?
most of us have our driver's license, but the truth of the driver's license is all of those driver's license are minor commercial contracts. They're under commercial law.
Right.
And as long as we travel as Americans and we travel privately and we're not using the roads for any kind of monetary gain, those driver's licenses are as good as the plastic they're printed on. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so are they still fighting us on that? You bet they are. Okay? But are we starting to win those cases? Yes, we are, because we figured out the commercial nature of the game. And the fact that we can prove we are not of commercial nature, that we travel in private. I gave this packet. It is 7-8 pages of the Supreme Court of the United States stare decisis on travel.
Right.
I just gave this to my local sheriff to open a discussion, okay, to make him aware of who Americans are, okay. I wrote an article on the Supremacy Clause that will be hopefully shortly published, because they presume that they have the Supremacy Clause, and the Supremacy Clause, they do have it, but it only applies to the delegated powers that they were given. The rest of it is retained to us.
And should be within the borders of DC.
Yes, exactly. So there is, as we're starting to figure it out, we're starting to comprehend what has happened to us, to our parents, to our grandparents, to our great grandparents, and we're using those very wisely set up immigration laws and the common law, the statutes at large that are there that apply to Americans,
Mm-hmm.
to combat the commercial jurisdiction. And one of the things that recently came out within the Clearfield decision was the fact that it separates that they can be separated from their governmental immunity.
Right.
Why? Because they're corporations. So you might as well put Wendy's on their hat, okay, and hand them an employee handbook and say, "Here you go, employee," right? Because that's what their codes, their statutes, and their regulations really are, is just their employee handbook.
Yeah.
That's it. Because they work for a corporation, because Sheriff Dar works for a corporation. And until you change your status and use that immigration law of 1779 to change your status, you are a U.S. citizen employee of the government.
Subject to all the
Mhm.
codes and statutes.
I would say, did you get your check this week?
I,
So,
I'm out of that. I'm out of that system.
ah,
I haven't filed taxes since '09. I cannot contract with the Secretary of State. They will not contract with me, even by court order. I don't have a driver's license. I don't have a voter card, and my ID says American National, and they do not even have my vehicles in their database and the VIN numbers. I mean, I've gotten all that stuff out of their system. So I may be similar to what you have done, but gone about it maybe a different way. So yeah, I travel. I've got a private plate on there, which is my grand jury number, and yeah, they don't bother me. So I don't know. I'd be love to compare what I did with what you guys do, and maybe I can improve on what I've done.
Mike, what you did is you forgot to come back through customs.
Okay.
Everything else you did, it it's it would be an American who has their paperwork done properly. They would actually be the author of that Constitution. They'd be part of We the People, which is the militia is a Hebrew word for people. You'd be part of the Michigan militia, okay, automatically, and you would be American. Other than that, everything else you've done, most of us have done the same stuff. Some of
Okay.
us have done stuff identical to what you've done, and it's not going to harm you being an American. It would just give you more knowledge to fight in there, but you would go in there and say, to hell with you, I'm not a US citizen, I'm an American. This isn't even my court. You're making these laws. Who are you? You don't speak to me. I'm under God. That's why I'm sovereign. I'm under God, period. You don't make these rules for me. We wrote these rules to control you. We, the people, wrote these rules to control you. So you're not far off, okay, with what you've done.
Okay.
It's just you haven't done the paperwork to come back through customs.
Okay.
And that whole US citizen thing, because I know we have other people here that listen and are new or whatever. So I'm gonna tell a little story that I've told before. Some of you have heard it, but if not, you hear it again. And this is what happened. You know, when they moved you out to Social Security like that, or moved grandparents out, because you're born of them, you're automatically that, okay? You're automatically that US citizen. Now, when you're talking about admiralty and maritime, you're talking about a ship, okay? That ship is where the law is. As far as their laws, British laws, okay, out at sea. If you're out on a cruise ship in international waters, you're going to be under those same laws you've been fighting. But you're not. You're on the land, and that's different. So here's what happened. A ship is mechanical. That ship can break down. It can break down anywhere. We don't know where it breaks down, but we know that it has a flag on it. The vessel is flagged from the location they're from. It says who they are. And it just so happens to be this US flag, a war flag that we hired King George after the Civil War to provide us with governmental services. And then you go back to the whole East India Trading Company and all that, and pirates and protection, all that. That's that flag that you see where the stripes are pointed back. They're pointed back to the land. Our flag points down to the land.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is the same flag like the Coast Guard runs, okay? But when that ship breaks down, it doesn't know where it's going to break down because it's mechanical. So it breaks down off our shores. They bring that boat in and put it in dry dock. They are a city. If you've ever been on a major ship or whatever, you know, they're running 3 crews on it. You got like 3 full cities running on a ship. They have their own police. They have everything. So they bring that ship into dry dock and they put down the ramp and they all come off the ship. And they're like, okay, we're on this land or whatever. We're US citizens and we're going to pay taxes. You're going to have to get a permit for a gun. You're going to pay for the roads. You're going to, all the different taxes that we all fight. And you're standing in the middle of that crowd and they're yelling it on a bullhorn. We're taking away your gun. You don't have this right. You don't have that right. We're watching them take away all these things from the Constitution and we're fighting it. And the problem is you think they're talking to you. They're talking to their people. They're talking to US citizens. And you just happen to be standing right in the middle of it when they're yelling on the bullhorn, we're taking your guns, we're taking your freedom of speech, we're taking this, we're taking that. We're US citizens. You're like, okay, I'm a US citizen. So then you follow those rules that are coming off of the ship. They're foreigners. That court that came down, the judges that came down, the police that came down for that corporation, they work for the corporation. They're not there to protect you. They came down and they know they're US citizens and you were standing in the middle and said, well, I'm a US citizen too. And when you realize I'm not a US citizen and you tell the guy with the bullhorn, like, hey, get that thing out of my ear, man. I'm an American. Oh, sorry, sir. You belong over here. We don't want to confuse you with them. You go ahead and get a gun. You go ahead and take it across state lines. You go ahead and do all that. You go ahead and travel with no plates. That's your free will. It's your land and you're alive. You got blood flowing through your veins. You're sovereign. I'm not. I just came off this ship. I'm sorry to get you in the middle of it. But if you told them I'm a US citizen, then you went along with what they said. And that's the problem is so many people, because this happened to our grandparents because they were going to get money through Social Security, that we all just decided, yeah, well, we're US citizens. That's what we were born. And that's what we were told. That's what we were told. And earlier you said your name. I only go by Mike. I don't go by nothing else. How do you know your name is Mike?
It's hearsay.
It's hearsay. Your name, we don't
Unless
even
I
know
can-
if your name is Mike. So a second-hand person told you your name is Mike and told you you're a US citizen and you have defended that your whole life. And then you come here and you figure out, hey, wait a minute, this sounds legit. And this is where I'm saying, we've already given you most of it. Now you go read. You still aren't going to get my gold. But you will do your paperwork. You will join an assembly on Michigan. You'll join the Michigan Assembly. You'll probably end up going, hey, I can take a position. I want to be the state justice. Now you're higher than Justice Scalia that you talk about because you're alive. He was dead. He was dead.
Because of the higher concurrent jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm. Because of the supremacy clause. You're supreme to Justice Scalia. So you take a position on the Michigan Assembly. You help get Michigan seated, which is what Tennessee and Ohio already is, okay? And there's many other states that are close to it. But you get Michigan seated. Now all of a sudden, all the states are seated. They all come to a Continental Congress, not in Washington, D.C., in Philadelphia. And then when they go there, then they make decisions for what's going to happen in the state. The jury is living people. One of the strongest things we have setting up our courts is we have jury nullification. The jurors can nullify a law before they even hear the case.
Have you been successful in getting that recognized?
Yes, Tennessee and Ohio have already been recognized by the military. Other states are on the way. And once we have all the states, or at least a quorum of the states that we can cover everybody, then they're put back in their box and they can't tell us nothing. You won't have a court to deal with. You'll only have a court here of your people, of your peers. You'll be under the public law, which is based on the Ten Commandments.
So
Which-
Tennessee and Ohio have done their public elections, so they're seated. So Tennessee's, the state of Tennessee, one of our Tennesseans actually went to file for unemployment, and on the unemployment page of Tennessee, it states, are you a U.S. citizen or an American national? So
And it didn't used to say that.
So those are the changes that are happening. Of course, they're not announcing it, but that's because we're here.
Okay. And what I'm about to say, I say this not to offend, okay? When I first heard that you were seating people in certain positions, the first thing that clicked in my mind was the Door Rebellion. And I'm assuming that you guys are not looking to go down that same path. You're taking a different direction on all this and approaching it completely different. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah,
Well,
we have a government ran by Americans.
We're restoring our original de jure governments that were already set up prior to the Civil War. See, the biggest issue that you have with the rebellion is they want to throw the bums out. We want to put them back in their box and make them hold to their contract.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
And so we want to run as employee to as employer to employee. We want to be able to tell them, no, we don't want that. And yes, we want this. And we're willing to take these duties and you take those duties. Okay. And it's towards setting up that symbiosis that is supposed to be there under the contract. We have a contract with them. There's always two parties to a contract. A constitution is nothing but a contract. And it was the people and the Brits, the people and the Roman Curia. Those are the contracts. We have to honor our side of the fence. They have to honor their side of the fence. And that's what we're trying to do. So by setting up our 4 branches of government, and on Ohio, we do have operating our 4 branches of government. We've been operating for 2 years this July. And publicly elected, we have our General Assembly. We have our Ohio courts, living courts, our common law courts operating. We've run 2 cases so far through our courts successfully, as I might say. We have our militia and we have our International Business Assembly up and working. So we have all of the elements of government actually seated, publicly elected, and operating in real time. I work 12, 17 hours a day for my Ohio government. Okay. So, so it's not about rebellion. It's about a cooperative nature of government that was always supposed to be there as Americans under the contract.
They were really hoping that there would be no more Americans and they could just claim the whole country as salvage.
I'll go a little farther too, Mike, is we also have land jurisdiction sheriffs on our counties that we can elect. Our counties can have a whole assembly. Our state has a whole assembly. We have a militia and they know it. We have elected sheriffs on counties and they know it. But that is soiled jurisdiction. When you're talking about international jurisdiction, in de facto, you know of a U.S. Marshal. And they call themselves federal marshals, but they are not federal. They're a corporation. They're territorial, just like Scalia and all them like you're talking about. But we have continental marshals. We are real federal marshals, but we call ourselves continental marshals because they have stolen that name federal and people just assume it's them. But the Continental Marshals that we have are one step above U.S. Marshals and international jurisdiction. I'm the chief for all 50 states. Sean here, who hosts with me, is the Area 3 chief. Anybody that has a 3 in their zip code is part of that postal area court, which is a federal court on the land jurisdiction, way above Justice Scalia. Okay. And being Continental Marshals, they know our names. They know what we're doing. They know we're here. And that's one reason why you hear everybody talking about, oh, the UN's going to come here and this and that. Well, the UN can't come here.
Right.
Because they know we have our own peacekeeping within the Continental Marshals. So as long as the Continental Marshals are here, UN can't come on our land as much as they would like to. They can't, because we're here and they know it. They know our names. So you would think, hey, this is like impersonating an officer. Okay. That is real silver. That is not like their star. This star is given to us by all 50 states. And you would think, hey, you're impersonating an officer or whatever. We're not. We're peacekeepers in the international jurisdiction, land jurisdiction, international land and sea. We cover the water too, all the way out till you get to international waters. So I wouldn't carry that star if I figured they can come and get me and say that I'm impersonating an officer. That's how I can prove that you won't get that gold. Because as soon as you figure it out, we're already here and they know it. And you want to get a republic. The only way to set up that republic is to have all 50 states with their de jure government seated. And right now, the only thing Michigan is missing is you.
So
Good.
may I?
Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
I know that Samuel and Lorette, that Nathaniel is listening. I'd like to hear what Nathaniel's thinking right now, because this is all kind of new to Nathaniel too.
You're muted, Samuel.
Yep. Figure out how to unmute yourself. If you're on a computer, it's down at the bottom
There we go.
microphone bar. There you go.
Yeah, I sent him a link.
Nathaniel.
Hello.
How you doing, Nathaniel?
What
What do
are
you-
you thinking? What are
what do
you
you
thinking
think?
about the history you're hearing?
It's quite interesting from what I've heard before. In searching through history, I didn't know that we were still a British colony, and to think of that, it's like, what am I even doing saying that I'm American? Let's go back to the original. Well, why we have this form of government? We have something that was perfect.
Which is American, which is what you are.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you're not a.
Yes, but my rights were stolen by the government. So, but now I'm going to get those back.
It's hard for him to understand.
And Nathaniel, you were always taught U.S. history. And that's the problem. In the early 70s, they took away American history and started teaching U.S. history. So you have only ever learned U.S. history, U.S., United States, or the constitutions you see all over the place that don't even have the word America on it. Go ahead, Yaya.
When I was teaching him, because I homeschooled him from kindergarten till 4th grade. I taught him American history. I taught him, Native Americans. Yes, I did explain the wars and things like that, the Revolutionary War. He knew the Constitution. He knows the Declaration of Independence. I made sure he had that because I'm 70, I'll be 72. So in my school where I lived, we were, yes, they called it US history, but there was a lot of American history that I learned and I was able to teach Nathaniel. So the program that I used was a faith-based program, and they used American history, not just yes, some US history, but American history they used also.
Yeah, it's been hidden for a long time, that real American history. And what we're teaching now, it wasn't taught. You know, you were taught Civil War, Vietnam War, the Cold War, World War II, all these war. In order to have a standing military, we have got to be at war every 2 years. That's why you're young, but all of us older, we have had war our whole lives so that they could have a standing military. And now they're making it stronger and all that, peace by strength and all this crap. And the thing of it is in order to be a war, Congress has to declare it.
Yep.
Okay, so you know that. Now, how do you end a war?
By a peace treaty.
Yeah, peace treaty.
Yeah, it's the only way. You declare war through Congress, you end it with a peace treaty. Where's the declaration for Vietnam, for World War II, for the Cold War, for all those wars, for the Civil War? There's no declaration in Congress. I'll give you the 2 ounces of gold if you can go find those. There's no declaration and there is no peace treaty to end it because it was never a war. They called it a war and you just believed it was a war.
Now, when I was growing up, the Vietnam War had started, and it wasn't called war; it was called the Vietnam conflict.
Right.
So was the Korean conflict. Okay. It was the Korean conflict. It was the Vietnam conflict. So, they at the time they were telling the truth, right? They're all commercial. They're all over monetary supply and monetary control. Every one of them since the Civil War has all been about monetary control. It's all been about bankruptcy and control. Every one of them. So the reason they can't declare war is because it's mercenary in nature, because of the commercial nature of the conflicts. The last war that was actually declared was the War of 1812.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think. I lost train of thought here.
Declared.
I had a good one too and lost train of thought. As soon as you said 1812 being declared, my brain started thinking about that, and then I lost my thought.
1940s.
Oh, here we go. So we do the vetting for all 50 states, okay? And we find a question that most people we vet get wrong. So if you happen to be smart enough to come to the Tennessee Town Hall, we're going to give away one of the vetting questions. And most of the people we're vetting, so I would probably say that most of you don't know unless you've been vetted. And if you've been vetted, just kind of hold off a little bit. But can somebody please tell me, because in our government, we're under American common law.
Right.
If we're under American common law, can somebody please tell me what common means in American common law? Anybody that hasn't been vetted.
Have a conniption fit.
Anybody that hasn't been vetted, common in American common law. You're under American common law. Come on, people. Cynthia's chomping at the bit. Look at her.
Does it mean
She's chomping. You can't run away. Your camera follows you.
Is it under biblical law? Biblical?
does
Well, common law is based on the Ten Commandments. That's public law. The laws
So
of
that's-
nature and
that's
nature is
biblical.
God.
That's
But-
biblical.
Yes, but what is the common?
does it refer to the common man?
Nope.
Everyday people? Nope.
Anybody?
No.
Is
Okay,
it,
so I'm gonna give you the answer in case you ever go to vetting. Do not miss it. Marlene on Washington put common to all people, 10 maxims. No. American common law is common for one reason. For one, it's based on the Ten Commandments, okay? But it is common. It is common to Christianity, Judaism, and wait for it, drum roll,
Muslim.
Islam.
Yeah.
They are under the Ten Commandments. And now we're out here bombing a country without a declaration of war from Congress, no peace treaty ever in sight because there was no declaration, to kill Muslims that you have been taught to fear on social media, on the news, Mockingbird news, you know, where they're all saying the same stuff. And these are people that are under the Ten Commandments. Okay? And if you're going to be in American common law and you're going to do it under the Ten Commandments, please don't ever let me hear you say that we should be over there to kill them, because you're the biggest hypocrite I've ever seen.
I would like to correct Paul. He said we are over there bombing them.
No, not we.
No.
Sorry.
It's not we. It is our subcontractors, military, that's over there bombing them.
That's rogue.
That's rogue as a mercenary army for hire by who?
Yeah. They went bankrupt in 32, 34, whatever it was. When was it, Lisa? 32, House Joint Resolution 192?
42.
32. It was like April 9th or March 9th, something like that, 1932. They went bankrupt. They go bankrupt in Geneva Convention. They need 70 years plus 10 to liquidate that government. That government has been gone and acting. Everybody's like, man, why is this so crazy over the last 5 years? Why am I seeing this now? Because they've known this was coming since 32. They went bankrupt in 32. They had 70 plus 10 to liquidate. That was 2 days after Biden became president. He was literally president for 2 days, and then the bankruptcy was done. They were over. And anything they're doing after that, they're doing acting. They're acting as if they're the government, and they're going to be held responsible as that government.
And the British Crown basically pays the military under the Title IV war flag.
And if you don't get that, Kevin put his hand down. If that's what you were going to say, Kevin, I was going to call on you next. But
No,
if you don't get that,
yeah.
if I already asked you the common in American common law. Now you know that. Why don't you tell me, is it an American company that is the paymaster for the United States military? The company, the
No.
paymaster that pays the U.S. military is Serco Corporation, SERCO. You can go Google Serco Corporation. They are a British corporation, and they are the ones that pays the military.
And so is British Petroleum.
It's all British, and you're not.
So what is money and where does it come from?
You're going into a deep one there. Money is something that anybody gives value to, and they have given value to a Federal Reserve note, which is a debt note, You literally can't pay a debt with a debt, you know?
It's all fake.
It's all fake. But if we want to go by the Constitution, silver and gold are legal tender. And then the Congress is allowed to coin money, but silver and gold. But you can't pay them with silver and gold. You can't go down there to pay with silver and gold because they can't accept it onto their general ledger. They can't do their books because all they do is move numbers. It was never really money. But you hold those dollars in your pocket like they have value, because right now you can go buy bread or whatever way expensive, but the value of that dollar is going down. And you know, Sean told me this before too, because I collect silver and gold, but when you really look at it, it's the same way. Cynthia was talking earlier, like, oh my goodness, you know, gold or silver down to $60 down. But when you look at what it really is, $1 is 1 ounce of silver. You're looking now $60, like, oh my God, this silver went up in value. No, still $1. This one got devalued. So now you need a lot more toilet paper to buy that 1 ounce of silver. The value of that silver is the value that it can be used as an asset for who needs it to build, to make a Continental Marshall Star, whatever the deal is. It's what that material is, not 60, 80, 100 debt notes. It can go up to 500 debt notes. It doesn't matter. It's still 500 debt notes. You can't buy anything with a debt note.
So the Federal Reserve basically allowed a central bank. Federal Reserve's not federal. There's nothing federal about it. It's a private cartel, banking cartel, and gave them the ability to create money out of thin air. And basically, your all caps name, when you want to go borrow some what we call money, is really borrowing credit that they owe you.
You're the creditor.
You're the creditor. And then through fractional reserve banking allows them to loan out 9 times what they have in their reserves. So if they have $10 in there, they can now loan out $90 on that $10. They can make more credit off of the credit they have in there. More paper. And then we wonder why they just keep printing and printing and printing and printing. But yet they think that, oh boy, you know, your credit, your social score isn't that great. So they're going to determine how much of your own credit they're going to allow you to have.
Yeah.
How un-American is that?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Have you guys been, or have you done, or looked into discharging these alleged debts, and through the IU having the IRS balance the books and the credits?
Well, we don't pay it. But we give them the notices and everything that we are lawful non-taxpayers. And that's another thing you're gonna be surprised about. In America, it is against the law to be a dual citizen. You can be U.S. citizen and an Israeli citizen, but as an American, you can only be an American. You cannot be a citizen of anywhere else. You can only be American.
Right.
So if the IRS is part of that corporation and British and federal income, we don't make income. We're not federal employees. So we don't pay taxes, and they try to go after the all caps name, and we tell them that's not us. But we do not pay the same way you don't. but they can't get us. They could get you as a US citizen.
What I guess, let me clarify. Do you guys use the IRS to discharge things like medical bills, property taxes, car payments, utility bills, mortgages, and all that kind of stuff, and basically zero it out and balance the books so that they're not,
It's not mine. It's not my debt.
I
Mutual
understand it's not
offset
your debt,
credit.
but they have by filing the certain paperwork, we are forcing them to expose how many credits that they have used of yours and have to balance the books so it all zeroes out. So you're not paying anything.
You have been robbed by pirates.
I know.
And if you think you're going to get it back from pirates, you're not. Are they going to? You didn't get anything back. We're dealing with debt notes. You got nothing. You you just got a debt removed when you were never the debtor. You were the creditor.
Correct. And I approach it as the creditor, and I force them to reveal the fact that they are the debtors. When, case in point, let's say it's a car payment. I make sure that they have to zero out the books because I'm the creditor. They didn't have my consent to do what they did in the first place. So by filing a 1099-A with a 1099 OID, I'm forcing them to balance the books, and I've done it.
We don't do it. You're forcing them to balance the books because you're one of them.
No.
You are one of them.
No.
If you are a US citizen, they know you are one of them. You don't think so. But I'm telling you, a consensus of the people, knowledgeable people, you're not the only one that studied, knowledgeable people here. Is he one of them?
Not yet.
No,
well, yeah, he's one of them. He's not one of us.
Yeah, is he one of them? All of you knowledgeable people, is he one of them? Please speak. Unmute your mics.
Yes, he is.
He wants to know.
Yes.
You're one of them, Mike.
So you guys have mortgages and car payments?
Yes.
And you're paying them with debt notes?
We choose when to poke the bear and when not to. I don't have those debts, but we still choose when to poke the bear and when not. When it comes in that all caps name, that's not me.
I know.
You know it's against the law. Do you know it's against the law to open somebody else's mail?
Right.
But you open that mail and you're like, yep, that's me. I'm going to write a 1099-A and the OID and all this because, yes, this is me. And I want you to write it off because you can't do this to me.
No, I'm the executor of that estate.
No, you're not.
Sure I am.
No, you're not.
Ownership of it. I claim
Mike, I wish you, Mike, I wish you would have listened the whole time, but I'm not going to argue because nobody here will be able to tell the difference between you and I.
Nancy.
Go ahead, Nancy.
So, I've heard of the process that he's talking about, and there are hundreds, if not thousands of people trying that process. And if you look back at our Title 50, 2012, it tells you that all debts are prepaid. And they were supposed to bring us a remedy, but they've never told us what it is. And, I've heard people are trying that. But what that does, if you recall, everything goes back to that birth certificate, estate, and trust. And that was done in fraud. So if you are participating in the fraud, it's going to keep going on. This is why we don't use that process, because we want to be upstanding and bring our courts back into place where they belong and tell them where they belong. And all of this is done in fraud. We cannot participate in that fraud. This is what I understand.
Yes, you said it very well, Nancy.
I yield.
Thank you so much. We don't participate in that fraud. If you want to go and participate in that, that is not what we're doing here. You're in the wrong spot. You would want to be part of a jural society, and this is a jural assembly on the land. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I guess maybe this is a conversation, maybe not for now, but for another time to go in more depth on it. But I'm having a hard time, I guess, understanding how I understand what you're saying. We can't participate in a fraud, and to me, from what I'm hearing so far, and again, that's why I say we probably need a deeper dive on this, is if you're still participating and using debt notes to pay your mortgage and your car payment and your utilities and so on, then you're participating in the fraud. I'm saying is that we are putting together and have put together a method where we're not having to do that. We're not using the debt notes to take care of these obligations. These obligations are being tendered in a different form and different fashion, and we're zeroing the books
Who
out.
is we? Who is we you speak of, Mike?
I have several groups that I work with, and we have put together a two different processes. One is with a banker's acceptance process with the 1099A and 1099 OID.
I don't want to know all that. I wanted to know the
Okay.
we part because
Um,
we've got over 70,000 people papered up.
okay.
Your few groups or whatever, I don't know how many people are in them few groups you got.
We probably got about 100.
Yeah, 100 ain't nowhere near 70,000.
I'm not trying to, see who, I'm not going trying to say who's bigger, who's better. I'm just saying these are the things that we have been doing
Right,
and
but you want to keep
successfully.
explaining it. You want to keep explaining it to us when we already know what you're talking about.
Okay.
We've studied all this different stuff and realized that this is the way to do it, to set up a government. And we offer 2 ounces of gold.
I'm just
If
asking.
everything is all about money,
I
please
know.
come collect your 2 ounces of gold.
Whether I prove you right or wrong that's not my objective here, and I wouldn't want your 2 ounces of gold anyway. My point here is
May
that I'm
I?
trying to understand how you guys are saying that you're not participating in the fraud if you're still using debt notes to pay these obligations. That's what I'm not understanding. So maybe we should have a talk another time. I don't want to take up everybody's time.
That's what
So,
they allow us to pay with right now because they won't accept real money. We are what they call in court, out of pocket. Even in court. Hey, I'd like to accept all charges, settle all debts, and close this account. However, I'm out of pocket. The court knows that the term out of pocket means you took away my gold and silver, and I will be glad to pay you when you give me back my gold and silver. They can't do it. So they drop the charges. Well, they actually put the charges in. They can't close the account. They won't do that. But they put the charges in, and until gold and silver comes back in your pocket, you don't have to pay it. And you can't get double jeopardy. They can never charge you again for it. There are ways to deal with not paying those court fees and all that. But if we're paying electric bill, what are we gonna do? Be Waco, Texas? We're gonna fight them that way and that de facto government of pirates is going to come bomb kids and everything else. We're not trying to be Waco, Texas. We're peaceful. We're trying to do it the right way, setting up our government using our brain and our pens, the peaceful way. But don't mistake peaceful for weakness. Go ahead, Nancy.
so one of the things that, you go back to Title 50, sole relief and remedy, all debts are prepaid. That came from the Treasury. When you're working with the IRS, you're working with a debt collection agency of the Federal Reserve and not with the Treasury. We do have a process that's called MOCEE, MOCEE, but they pretty much deny it because they haven't given us the process. And like I said, we don't want to participate in the fraud. And our recourse is to set up our common law courts and put all of our nation states back in their proper jurisdiction. And we would like you to join us. You are an intelligent man, but we're doing it for everybody. I guess if I were just about me, I'd just kind of trot off on my own and do the process you're doing so I could handle me. But we're here to do this for everybody, not just in the United States, all over the world, because this fraud has been perpetrated on all of God's man. I yield.
Thank you, Nancy. And then when you talk about dealing with the IRS, are you dealing with the IRS or are you dealing with the Internal Revenue Service?
The Internal Revenue Service. I might have misspoke.
So you don't deal with the IRS?
No.
Only the Internal Revenue Service.
Yes.
Okay. Did you know there's two different companies?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I have a bad habit of sometimes misspeaking a little bit. I get on.
Yeah, but if you're dealing with the Internal Revenue Service, you're dealing with territorial, and the one that's sending you all the stuff is all caps IRS. That's municipal out of Washington, D.C. for U.S. citizens.
Foreign corporations.
Right. But what we're doing is we're making the other party the obligor to settle the obligation that they actually created and did so fraudulently. So, and I'm not just doing, we just don't do this for ourselves. We've been doing this for a couple of years now to try and streamline it and get it to where it works very systematically, and so that we can teach other people how to do this. And we're not going to go out there and just randomly just tell everybody, hey, we got a process, come join it and try it until we've got it 100% perfected. There have been a few times, credit card companies seem to be the real problem child, wanting to get this process through, but everybody else has been not so much of a problem. So
Hey, we got it 100% perfected, Mike, if you want to listen.
Sure.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for, because you were saying when you get it 100% perfected, you're going to start teaching it. Well, you came to this call where we're teaching it. We already have it 100% perfected.
Okay.
Now it's just getting butts in the seat.
Okay. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm not here to be confrontational. I'm just trying to tell you what I have encountered, what we have done, and I'm listening and want to learn to see what you guys are all about and what you guys do. So I'm always out there, reaching out to other groups and whatnot and trying to learn and see who knows what and everybody's doing. So I'm open-minded.
I just think when you came on, you said, my name's Mike. That's it. Mike. I don't go by anything else, whatever. I'm Mike. That all caps name, that's not me. But you're over here using IRS with an all caps name, writing off debts, all caps name, and claiming that you're the executor. That's you. It's yours. It's yours. You're going to write this off. You're the executor of it.
Well,
how are you the executor of a fraud they did?
We have reclaimed over 7 trillion in real gold and silver assets.
Yeah. And we have bank accounts with it too. But if you're going to say, hey, I'm going to use IRS to write that off, you accepted the mail and said, yes, this is my debt, or yes, this is me, and I want to use these forms from IRS to write that off. As soon as you accepted that that was you. Otherwise, why would you even be there writing it off if it wasn't you? So you're there writing it off, and they know as soon as you accept that it's you to write it off, you're automatically in their jurisdiction. We're telling you, that's not us. That's not my debt. I'm the creditor. So now with kids watching and all that, let me explain another thing that'll be good for them to see. Oh, go ahead, Diana. I'll explain in a sec.
So basically, when we're participating in the fraud, in any way, we're prolonging the state assemblies from standing up in their true American government, which will protect all the people.
Even US citizens.
Everybody. What we're doing is going to protect Mike. He won't have to do any of the stuff he's doing. We're already going to protect him. And we've already put out paperwork across 50 states and voted on it that Mike is already protected. He's already an American, whether he does his paperwork or not. We just don't recognize it if he doesn't do his paperwork. We don't see it. But we know that we have already claimed him, that he is not chattel property. So we've already done what we can to protect him as the 50 states. The rest is up to him when he realizes, and everybody else will realize it. But when you're talking money now let me get into the story so that the kids can hear too, and they kind of get it. Because a lot of people don't realize that, hey, we're rich. We're the creditor. You got to trace it back. Why? So remove all of the state lines, international line, remove everything. You just have a world. Remove the people, all of the stuff that's been built, remove it all. You just have the land. Now you move in to that land and claim, okay, this is our land, America. This is our land, Canada, or our land, South Africa. We claim this is our land. Then we domicile there, and then all of a sudden children are born. Those children are born, that's their land too. And then they have children, and it's their land too. So we already know that that is our land. So we say, okay, America, this is our land. And then it's split up into the 13 colonies at first. And now it's 50 states, okay? So these 50 states are where you're a national of. You were born there, that state. So now you have that land that was empty and you put people on it. Now give them all a shovel. Oh, wow, we found gold. Oh, we found oil. We found this, we found that. You are now heir to what is there. Whether it's gold, silver, oil, timber, whatever it is, rock, lime, anything, whatever minerals and stuff you have there, salt mines, whatever you have there, you're heir to that. So that means it belongs to you. Now that becomes money and trade across state lines, international, everything else. We're trading these items that now have value. They're a tangible asset. Gold and silver becomes the one to use as money. Gold was international. Hey, Canada, we want to buy something from you. It's going to be bought with gold. Hey, Arizona, we want to buy something from you. It's going to be bought with silver. We use silver between our nation states. We use gold, which is sovereign money. We use that internationally. So you are now heir to the minerals of that. And every one of us were born worth our weight in gold. And over the years, that amount of gold has gone up in value where you are the creditor. But that land that you grabbed at first, United States of America, or just one land. For me, I was born on California, Tennessee now. So I'm Tennessee. Here's Tennessee. The Tennesseans are heir to what's here, and they are Tennessee. Now Tennessee says, hey, we want to do business with other states. So we form a government of the smartest people we have in order to do business with the other states. but we are still heir to what's there. That's our value. That's our credit. We're the creditors. That's where that money came from. The banks, it's illegal for a bank to loan money, and it's illegal for a bank to own property. You may not get that, but that is where our wealth came from as creditors. And then you don't ever hear about, oh, here, America, you don't hear American nationals. Everybody else is a national but us. You don't hear that. You don't hear anything about the national credit. How much stuff you guys got in the ground? What are we worth as a union that we're together? What is America worth if we put all of our assets together? They know what's in the ground. How do we know what we're worth? So they use our credit to pull from us because they can't. So as soon as you go to get a loan, you sign a promissory note. They steal money from that promissory note and they pay the debt right away. But they took 2 times more, 3 times more for themselves. And they've been doing this for a long time. And then they put you as the tenant. And then you're responsible to pay the bill. But it's not a bill. It's a statement. And you pay that statement. It's not an invoice. It's not a bill. It's a statement of facts that they are supposed to be paying it because they're joint tenant with you. It's horrible, the fraud that they have done and that we didn't know. But we are the national credit. We are heir to the minerals in our land in America all together. We are the creditors. Their national debt is them. They created that debt. They have done it with debt notes. It's not even real money. They have stolen our gold and silver from us, which was against the Constitution right from the get-go.
Traded paper for gold.
Traded paper because they're not here for us. And the only way they could do that was if they gave your grandparents Social Security, made everybody U.S. citizens, and put you lost at sea. And it wasn't going to be much longer, and we would not have had an America any longer. But Anna put together the patent in 2015 and saved that. And anyone else that had the lineage coming in from the Mayflower Compact and all that could have done it too. But they did it. They saved that patent and saved America. And now we're putting our government back together so that we can get those ones we hired that have been ripping us off our whole life out of our way. They can take their national debt with them because that national debt, as they start collecting those debt notes back, every debt note they take back, they take it off the national debt. When they take all those notes back, it's gone. That debt is gone. But we still are the creditors. Are you going to get everything back from the pirates? Probably not. Are you still wealthy? Yep. And people don't get that either. We have 3 times more gold in America than any other country. I think China was behind us and they had 50 metric tons, but over the last 10 years or so, they've been collecting a lot more. All the countries have because they know what's about to happen. So they've been stealing our own gold and silver, and the U.S. military, not our military, but the U.S. military controls all of the trade in the ocean. So the U.S. military is the one allowing our gold and silver to leave our land to other countries. They've been ripping us off. It's not our military. It's not our IRS. It's not our debt. It's not our all caps name. We're not dead. We're alive. You only see an all caps name on a grave.
They've been using our sons and daughters to do it.
Yeah. Are we going to change it? Yes. We're going to get our republic back. We're going to have people with morals and values and virtue to deal with those laws. And even the people here with morals, values, and virtues want to hang them all. But they're going to run. When we turn on the lights and Milligan ex parte, they're going to run. They won't be able to hide any longer. You don't really even have to kill them because that's not part of the 10 Commandments to kill them. You're going against it, which is against our laws and peaceful and everything else.
Spread the
It
truth.
doesn't say nothing in the 10 Commandments about putting them on the sidewalk and everybody spitting on them as you walk by. They'll never be what they were before. You will get it back. You will be the sovereign. And then when you get to that point, you've been fighting your whole life, but I'm not going to have no one world government. You might find out that once all these countries have got sovereigns taken over, they might just say, take down the borders. But we don't know what these governments are going to do. Other countries, if they want to try to say, no, this is my land, I want it, you can't touch it, you can't come over, you can't do this, you can't do that, like, okay, then you got to do it. But if they say, no, we want to be able to travel freely, why do we pay to live on this land? We're the only dumb animal that pays to live on this land. So they may change it down the road when all the governments get their sovereignty back. And when they get their sovereignty back from where it came from, maybe they'll start thinking about where it came from and treat people better. And when they do treat people better, that whole thing of borders and all that might go away. Will it now? Probably not. We gotta get back what's already been stolen. We got countries all over the world looking to us for help. And they want to see us do it first so that they can do it too. And once they do it, the reign of the central banks and the fraud and everything else that they've been doing, they'll be done. You don't have to kill them. Just spit on them as you walk by on the sidewalk. They'll be broke. You'll be wealthy.
But that's why we need to know who we are and stand on our sovereignty and function our governments the way they were meant to be in the first place, and all come together and work cordially together as kings and queens and, make it happen. It won't happen on its own. If we all stick our heads under the bed, they'll just stomp on us again.
I'm also impressed with the youngsters that are here and actually listening and paying attention and all that, because I know what it was like to be your age. And if I didn't have an interest, I wouldn't stay there either. But what we're trying to do, we probably won't see anything for us, but we're really trying to do it for you. And I know you guys are young right now, but you're not all that far. Ask any one of us from having kids yourself, because the years go by real fast. I remember not long ago, I graduated high school. That's, 35, 38 years ago, whatever it was, something like that. The time goes by fast, and you're going to have your own family and your own kids. We're doing this for you, and we're doing this for them. But you are older, and you may realize that you may have a fight on your hands to make sure that your kids get this, because we're all getting older. You can see us. Even the youngest ones here, you probably still call old because you guys are young. But you're the next generation that has to be able to fight for this and make sure that your family and generations to come get what they deserve. So we're doing this for you guys. I don't think we're gonna get anything out of it other than being able to shove it in their face. And then after that, it's gonna be years and years of putting it back to the way it's supposed to be. And the only way you're going to be able to do it is treating people well, with kindness and peace and everything else. I think it's funny that someone's running away with the chat again, you guys. And we've said this before. I know it's not first on this call, but when you're running a chat, you're not even in this call. So the next one that hits the chat, go ahead and just exit the building. It's pretty funny that the whole time that we're trying to give motivational talk to the youngsters here, the adults are acting like children in the chat.
Because we're young at heart. Give us a break, Paul. Come on.
No, I already said that we don't do that with the chat. If you want to have a chat, you're in a whole nother meeting.
May I, Paul?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was the last one to put a chat in there, so but I gotta go to work. So have a good evening, everybody.
Bye,
I'll put this
Debbie.
up in the morning when I get back. Bye, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
night,
Have a good night.
Night, everyone.
And I'd like to say, I truly believe we'll all have access to our credit. It ain't going to be 25 years down the road. So let's not all get.
I don't think 25 years for the credit. I think 25 years for them to be able to get government functioning the way it's supposed to function. All we're going to do is start it for them, and they're going to have to continue it on. The credit, I believe, will come.
We got to put
That's our money.
Our true republic back together. And like our forefathers said, we have a true republic as long as we can hold it.
Yeah. As long
Well,
as we
we
can
didn't hold it very long before the Brits got their nose back in it. So now we're putting it back together, the true republic.
Yeah. You were never free in that 1776. When we do it, you're finally going to be free. And there won't be a country out there that'll harm us because we are strong, but we also won't have our military out there harassing them. All of it'll come back home. And if someone decides that they want to attack us on our land, we'll respond. That's when war would be. But there ain't nobody out there going to want to attack us, and there's nobody out there that wants us to attack them.
But the only reason why we have those circumstances is because somebody is putting somebody else in lack. I mean, if we're the wealthiest nation on the earth, right? And there's a country in Africa that's poor, what are we doing? Right?
Yeah, we're all going to Africa to help.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that in this mission that we're trying to complete, that when we do stand up and we get most of all of our states standing and we start to meet as our Continental Congress once again, that that will be a message to the rest of the world. And I already, I'm already talking with many of the other countries, and I know that they'll see the courage that we have in standing our governments and standing up against the commercial jurisdictions. And they too desire the same freedom and sovereignty that we have, and that we will have more of shortly.
And abundance.
And so, and abundance. And so, I always encourage the assemblies as I work with them to realize that what we're doing will only guarantee success if we're all involved. If we all put our sweat and our energies into developing our state assemblies and going. As I said, Ohio's been operating 2 years. We've been waiting for the rest of the people to catch up with us. We don't want to be the only daisy in the field. We want a garden. And so, I always encourage people, get out and get gardening. Get your state assembly stood up, get your courts in place, get your militia educated, and start holding your service providers to their contract.
Get seated.
Well, so we've been on all kinds of different talks. Is there anybody with questions or, a different topic or something you want to ask? We've already got 2 hours and 20 minutes where I'm sure we're not going to run it too much longer, but if somebody has a question that wasn't answered or want to ask, or
May I?
yeah, what's your name?
Marcus, sorry about that, man. I'm on my iPhone and I ain't getting a chance. I deleted my Android, factory resetted it, and I ain't
That's
got no
all right.
information in here anymore. So I
That's
gotta get
all right, Marcus. Go ahead.
I got the paper. So back here, this what I supposed to change right here, right? And put the Chickamauga Chattanooga National State Park right here, right?
Oh, I can't even see it. I'm not sure what that paper is. If somebody else wants to pin him so that when he talks, you can see it.
This the new paper that Miss Anna sent out.
Oh,
Yes, you want to put your neighborhood on there.
Okay, and that's down at the bottom right here, as correct. Remove
Yes.
this and put that.
Yes.
And that's the only thing we have to remove on the papers, right?
Well, your neighborhood and the state. So that says Alaska. You'll want to put your state on there also.
Okay.
Just read through it, and any of the information on it that is not your state or your area or your name, make sure you change that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I got the addresses at the top, but they basically say the same addresses. It was 3 people that go ahead.
So what addresses do you have on it?
The 1500 Pennsylvania, the 2201 C Street NW, and another 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. That's the same.
So you should have the U.S. Secretary of State. Help me out, Nancy. U.S. Secretary of State. I have to go open my paper.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you look over there.
I'm gonna go look.
We recommend that you have your state Secretary of State, whoever your state is, Secretary of State, the U.S. Secretary of State, and the Treasury Secretary on it, I think, is correct.
Yep, the Secretary of the State, a U.S. Department, and the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury Department.
Correct. And then you need whatever state your Secretary of State is. What state are you on, Marcus?
Tennessee.
You're on Tennessee. Okay.
I think it's Trey Hargett.
So you'll need.
Yeah, Trey Hargett, Secretary of State of Tennessee. TREHARGETT, Secretary of State of Tennessee.
Where to go?
Nancy put
I'll get that information.
Nancy put it in the chat for you, Marcus, for the address for that one. You should be able to copy it right. Oh, you're on your phone though.
Yeah, I'm right. I got my pen in my hand. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, she put it in the chat for you.
Okay. Well, I yield.
Thank you, Marcus. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Good. I hear
Hi,
you guys
Lisa.
are doing good. A lot of people are talking good things. So congratulations.
Yeah. So I just had a couple quick questions. We have elected a few people pro temp before we have our big election at the end of the year. So I want to find out, do we need to do affirmations for pro temp positions?
I don't think so. They're standing up in honor, I mean, they would have done it on recording that
Okay.
that they're stepping up to do that, but when you go through the actual elections, that's where the affirmation.
Right, we're gonna have a public thing with other states.
Yeah, that's when the affirmations come in.
Okay, okay. Another question. We're trying to get our vetting committee together and we have a couple people that are signed up for vetting, marshal at arms and a treasurer that you should be getting through there. But we want to get some more people on that committee. Is there a specific training that you want us to follow when we vet people for the vetting committee?
Yeah, so we do offer that also for the
Okay.
states. Okay, so states that don't have a lot of people, we put it that the coordinator, the treasurer, and whoever the state elects as the chairman of the vetting committee, then we would vet them. We vet treasurers if the states want it anyway, because we have the best vetting around. And if that treasurer is already vetted and the coordinator is already vetted, we just make those two the first two members of the vetting committee. Then your assembly picks who they want to be the chairman of the vetting committee. We vet them too. Once we're done vetting them, then we teach you what we do with vetting, how we do the vetting, what questions we ask, why we ask the questions, but it's classified to your vetting team. So that starts out with 3 people, an odd number. And then after that, you want to look for 2 more. Once you find 2 more, then the coordinator, so either you or Glenn, steps aside. And you're there as a backup if need be, because you've been trained, but you step aside, and then the treasurer steps aside, and those new people that you guys, the 3 of you that we taught, would have vetted the 2 new people, not us. You would have vetted them. And then once you have those first 3, then you just start looking for them in 2s so that you always have an odd number. And then we would teach you, but after we've taught the first 3, then you guys are on your own to do your own vetting and all that for the state.
Okay, so we do have someone who has stepped up to be the chair of the vetting committee. So we need to vote them, elect them as like a pro temp position and then send them for vetting.
Yeah, so a vetting team is weird because a vetting team doesn't exist. Okay, it's there now so that we make sure that the federation is covered while people are getting seated with people that can handle the job and all that. And then we try to protect you too doing it. But once you get seated, that vetting team doesn't even exist anymore unless you guys choose to do that. But when you start getting a lot more people and you're going through new elections and all that, then there's going to be fraud there because they're going to say that you didn't pass somebody through vetting because you didn't want them to run, so the vetting team normally doesn't belong there. We vet everybody ourselves. When you're talking about the de facto, we look and see who they are. We look into them, we find out stuff, and it would be the same way once we're all functioning. So that vetting team is only for now, to make sure that you guys have people that are going to take a position and not run. You're not going to step up to help provide something for the youngsters I was talking to earlier, and then you're just going to leave like you don't care. That's what the vetting is. And then to make sure that the position you're doing, that it's good for the people on that state. So when we do vetting, if we're doing vetting for Florida, the whole vetting team is thinking Florida. That's it. We're thinking for you. We're vetting for Florida. What's the best for the people on Florida? Can they handle this job? Can they handle the questions we ask? That whole thing. And then we give an opinion. If we fail somebody on vetting, it's only an opinion. Then you guys can vote yourself and say, no, regardless if they failed vetting or not, we want them. That's on you. We gave you our opinion. So we would teach you how to do that. But after you're all seated and all that, that vetting team isn't gonna really function much.
Aren't they going to be vetting people every year that run for positions? Isn't
That's what I said. If you have that vetting team and the vetting team is biased and says, no, we don't want so-and-so to run for that position.
so what would that, how would you check people, like new people that are going to run for positions?
Checking them means you have some sort of authority over them.
May I?
Yeah, go ahead, Nancy.
So vetting is more of a job interview. Do they have the skills or can they learn the skills? Do they know what's
Right.
needed for that position? Can they find the tools and bring about what the assembly wants? When it's a publicly elected position, the vetting really is going to just be a suggestion from the vetting committee. That man or woman can still run if the vetting committee says, we don't think this person is going to really pass muster from past history. And the vetting committee, they have that say, but the assembly can override that. But generally, it's a job interview to help us get our assemblies up and running.
Yeah, and that's all it is right now, is to help use morals, ethics, values in the questions that we ask, so that you can get somebody in that pro tem position. When you go to actually seated and you got people running in elections uncontested, and it's not a real government running the way it should. When it's running the way it should, you're going to have 2 or 3 people running for every spot that you have. And if you have a vetting committee at that time who just happens to be biased, they don't want that person to run. I'll pick on the one here that gets picked on the most. And that's Cynthia. Cynthia wants to run for a position and I'm the vetting team. Oh no, Cynthia's trouble. Let's not pass her through vetting. And they do that. And it's only an opinion, but you guys happen to value the vetting team's opinion because you hang out and play golf together like a de facto court. You're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble with what we have as an American government. We're offering vetting right now to help, but I don't see it lasting very long.
Well, I can I just respond to that? Well, I understand that the vetting we're going to do on the state for our state people is nothing like what we went through with the Continental Marshals. This is just a basic. Do they have experience? Are they not a felon? Things like that. We're not doing a a moral compass check like what we had to have. It's just basically qualification for the job and then making a recommendation to the assembly and the assembly decides. But we're just doing like an interview, yeah, like a job interview, not like a tell us your deepest, darkest secret.
That's right, Jennifer.
So,
You're checking character, you're checking character, mindset, skill set.
Yeah.
And you know, I always say if somebody's teachable, you know, I can teach them just about anything. So it's not, sometimes experience isn't necessarily the qualifier. The willingness to learn the job is the qualifier. And do they comprehend what the assembly, what the mission really is? You know, most of the time people fail because they fail to understand the assignment, right? Do they know what the
Right.
assignment is? Do they know what the job really entails? And that's really all you're checking in the whole vetting of a candidate. Okay? That's it.
Yeah.
And then you're making a recommendation. This person is really suited for the position, or, you know, this person not necessarily well suited for it, but they're willing.
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the one that has dealt with the vetting for a long time for all 50 states. So I'm trying to give you the best advice. You're looking to see if they're a felon. If you guys don't have a felony, you're not trying hard enough.
Okay. Well, I just put that as an example,
No,
not
no, I know,
literally.
but that's the thing with vetting where you can get yourself in trouble. And I
Okay.
try to
I get it.
put it as if I was on your assembly. Whenever I'm talking to any one of you guys, I'm talking to you as if I was on your assembly and what you would have to deal with. Who cares if I'm a felon? What was the felony charge? We've vetted a guy before who had a registered sex offender for rape. He was 18 and his girlfriend was 16. Mom caught him. Mom turned him in. He's registered sex offender, felony his whole life. And the only way we were able to figure out who it was because his wife verified it. That was his girlfriend where he got that charge. And now it's his wife of so many years. It's a felony in a system where people never got a jury of their peers. They were coerced into a plea deal so that they didn't spend their whole lives in jail. And then when we do vetting, it only being an opinion means that the assembly respects our opinion. But I'm telling you right now, nobody on this call cares what I think. None of them. They care what they think. And you care what you think and what you see. And if that conflicts with government, you're going to be going all against the Constitution. We're teaching this vetting to get it seated right now. Like, hey, is someone have the character? Are they going to stay? Or are they going to run, quit? Are they going to stay in the fight, hold a seat, get seated? And then we go on gut instincts. Do we feel that the position that they're going for is the best for you? If it's your treasurer, can they handle money? Can they do all that? What experience do they have with handling money? Because we don't want them running off with your money. That's why we vet treasurers. We vet coordinators because you work for Anna. Anna tells us vet coordinators. We say, okay. Anna goes on our opinion. Anna happens to stand on our opinion. But when you start getting into the assembly yourself, you vetting teams, you better be real careful because you're playing with fire with these people. And if I was in your assembly and you did that. Oh, he's got a felony, he's got this, he's got that, or we don't think he can handle it. The thing is, like the way Lisa was putting it without actually saying it, but God doesn't call up the qualified, he qualifies the called up. So if you're stepping up to take a position, you can be taught. If you can be taught, you could do anything. I'm a chief continental marshal. I'm the best at it. There's nobody else that has more experience in continental marshals than me. It hasn't been done over 160 years. But you think I knew continental marshals? I stepped up and I was willing to learn. What's that job? What does it take? Everything else. But if I'd have went through vetting, do you hire a 35-year truck driver? Even though I owned a company, trucking company, do you hire a truck driver to be the chief? Or do you go look for somebody who's got experience in military or experience in de facto policing and everything else? Or do you hire a guy who's tough and American and against de facto government, against government overreach, all that? I just fit into the position. I was the best for it. But vetting, you got to be real careful with because you're going to get yourself in trouble. Let the people pick. And when they, anybody can run for a position. And when they do, if they're no good, the votes will show it. And if the people want them, they'll vote for them, whether you like it or not. And the majority of the people will vote. And the ones that didn't get their way just got to go with it. That's the way our government works.
Well,
Go ahead, Mark.
Subject? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go. I've had Mark waiting a while, but I know this is on the same subject. So go ahead, Glenn. I'll get right to you, Mark.
I would think that the vetting still has to continue just to make sure there's no conflict of interest as far as somebody dual citizenship or state licenses or LLCs and that type of thing.
For now, yes. But once everybody's American and you're still running a vetting team, people are going to call that vetting team biased.
Even if somebody is a dual citizen at that point?
Once everybody
There won't be.
Who's going to be a dual citizen when they all find out they're the creditor, they have an account, they're all here, they're all papered up, they're all running for positions, we're all retired.
Yeah.
And they decide, oh, I'm going to run a vetting team. If they were running a vetting team like that in de facto, the whole time you were de facto, what would you have said about that? In de facto, who the hell's on this vetting team? It would have been more fraud if they had a vetting team. We got to be real careful with how we do it because things are different as we're working to get seated compared to when we get seated.
Thank you. I yield.
Go ahead, Mark. Thanks for waiting, buddy.
No problem. In the militia assembly, we've got our seal decided on, but there was some doubt about there's 95 hash marks going around the perimeter of the seal, and it creates a type of circle. And there was some concern over having.
You missed it, Mark. It was talked about like in the first 5 minutes of the call.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it was David Schuster or somebody had asked about it, but the question had already been answered, so you should hear about it on the next militia. But
okay.
Well,
fine. Thank you.
Yeah, just basically, as long as it's not a continuous circle, it's good.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that way it's not captured. Anybody else? We're already 2 hours and 40 minutes.
This is Carmen on Pasco on Florida.
Yeah, go ahead, Carmen.
I wanted to say in regards to the vetting, I don't know how exactly people, I know they volunteer for the positions, but is there like I hate to call it an application, but is there something like that where the person is answering the question so that way you're asking them directly? Do you have license? What type of licenses do you have to try to take away some of the conflicts? And they're answering themselves. And that way, when vetting committee or whomever is looking at this can make a better determination, is there anything in anything that they answered that would disqualify them? Is there anything like that at the moment?
Okay, so we ask over 56 different questions that all have a reason why we ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to licenses, yes, people can fail. If they come back and tell us that they have a medical license, they come back and tell us they have an insurance license, they come back and tell us they have a real estate license. Those are the three main ones we'll fail somebody for.
Okay.
That's for licenses.
Right. There could be
Okay.
other conflicts as well. Yeah. I
Yeah,
get
but
that.
when
So-
you're talking about conflict, we have to look at each one. Do
Mhm.
you hold any other positions? Does the person you sleep with hold a position in the assembly? We have to know that.
Yes.
We have to know,
It gets personal.
for the, yeah, well, no, we have to know that for the people that are married or whatever, is your spouse papered up? Does your spouse hold a position on a county or a state? Because if you're vetting for a treasurer and your spouse is the chairman of the county, the one asking the treasurer for money, don't you think the treasurer is going to sign that check a lot faster to their husband than they would to somebody else? We look for those conflicts right now. Down the road, it's up to you guys to look for it. But this is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. We know who we are. We know who's married. We know our partners, and we know each other's lives. You know, so we already know that you don't need a vetting team to say, hey, your husband's this. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that's a conflict of interest. You know, we're doing that now, but down the road, it won't be there. It'll be up to you guys to look at everything yourself and allow people to be free. If you start you put rules on people with vetting and everything else, you're not allowing them to be free because, like I said, nobody cares what I think. They don't.
That's why I was thinking that, right now that's in our handbooks, right? Or our guidelines. And does it need to be there? Or do we say vetting will be for the first year or two after the assembly gets seated or something like that? I don't know. What stipulation would be something that's reasonable?
I would say that vetting will probably exist as long as Anna's in charge. Okay, and when I say in charge, you have assemblies that are seated already. But Anna's the fiduciary until they release that state as seated. Like, okay, you guys have everything functioning properly, you're released. No more influence from the Federation. You are on your own, sink or swim. Then it's up to you how you guys do that. And some of you may decide to keep a vetting team, but I'm telling you, you're going to have somebody on your assembly like me, and it's going to cause problems for you.
It makes sense because we want the people to be free, to be able to elect and to be able to also remove within the right circumstances, because we don't want just people because you got mad at somebody getting rid of other people either,
Yeah. Well,
principles
they get put
before.
in. They get put in by vote, Carmen.
Yeah.
They're put in by vote, and the only way you can take them out is by maxims of the law. The way it's bound can be unbound. You have to take them out the same way they were voted in. And you have to get the people to agree on it. If the people don't agree on it, it's not going to happen.
Right.
That's
All
where
right, thank you.
that's
I
where the
yield.
people, yeah, that's where the people are in charge. And as much as we are doing to try to help you get seated, it seems like we have some sort of authority. Okay. We're tasked with training martial at arms. We're tasked with vetting. Lisa's tasked with training coordinators and making sure that everybody does it the way that she's training you because that's what the Federation wants. But it sure does seem like we have some sort of authority over you when we can tell you, hey, this is the way it's training, or we can do whatever committee we want. And I tell people, well, really? If Anna shuts down your assembly because you're doing a committee that's wrong, are you really in charge? Or is Anna? So right now it seems like there's authority because there are people that know how to get it done and they're training. And then once you're on your own and the Federation says you're free, then you're off and running on your own. But myself, I want freedom for all you guys, the freedom to choose, the freedom to run for office, the Constitution handled by our own government and upheld by our own government against the people, because we haven't ever had that. So I disagree with certain things that we're doing right now, but we have to do these certain things to get it seated. Once it's seated, there won't be that authority. I won't have any authority over you guys at all. Nobody will have any influence because it don't matter how many emails you send to Anna, you'll be seated. You guys will do it yourself. People ask me, oh yeah, well, this happened or whatever, and Anna got involved. And you all know me, I'm straightforward. The only reason Anna gets involved in any of your problems, pay attention, folks. The only reason she gets involved is if your assembly is incompetent of handling it themselves.
I hear that quite a bit, like, oh, we can create any committee we want. Okay, you're right, you can. But is it a committee that you would be willing to pay for? Is it a committee that you would be willing to spend the people's money on? So there's a tunnel going on in Nashville, right? Elon Musk is boring a hole through it, and they're going to use Teslas to get people to the airport sooner, right? The state don't have nothing to do with it. But they put a committee together, right, about it, and spent like $2 million for 6 months for this committee.
Seems like the best government money can buy.
So yeah, you can make a committee, about dandelions and how they're picked, but you're really going to spend everybody's money on that committee? I mean, so we got to be smart about it, people. Yeah.
And the freedom I'm talking about and the peaceful I'm talking about, I want you to know that in order to be peaceful, you have to be dangerous. Only a dangerous man or woman can choose to be peaceful. If you're not dangerous, you're just harmless. So when you are in this government that you've always wanted, American, I'm sitting in a seat, I got power. You remember that they used to burn them at the stake? If you abuse that power in this government, those peaceful people will not choose to be peaceful. They will rip you out of your homes by your hair. If you are doing something to harm their children or going against their rights or even trying to go back to that old government that they left behind, the peaceful will go away. And then you're going to be like, oh, they're trying to kill me. Like, I wonder why. Go back. Apologize. Tell them I don't have authority. Sorry, you guys. I did it wrong. Please don't burn me at the stake. Because you're going to be begging for your own life. That's American government. That's the difference with American common law based on the 10 Commandments. Our laws, you better follow them because they're God's law. And if you go against God's law, you're going against that to God, not to us, to God. You're not following it the right way. and they're going to remove you physically. But Americans are more worried about causing harm. I don't want to get drunk and run over your kid, but don't give me a DUI because I had one drink. I'm almost 300 pounds.
And don't let your kids play in the street.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, just real quick on your comment regarding the licenses and that. Would that also include being married to the state, i.e., the marriage license?
No, we don't do licenses.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying.
If you have a marriage license, would that have to be rescinded?
You're not married. That's a marriage of two corporations.
Right, I understand. But people who are married, who have a license from the state, would they have to rescind that license with the state and redo their vows?
The state is the ship. We're going to blow that ship up. You won't have anywhere to rescind it to.
But you were talking
So,
about
may
the
I-
vetting process.
Right now, we do have a process where you can revoke that marriage license and set up a proclamation of marriage that is just between you, your spouse, and your God. So there is a process for that if you wished to exact yourself from that.
But for the vetting process, would they, in order to be able to have a seat, would you have to revoke that marriage license and redo the?
No. That's the thing. Those licenses are permission.
Right.
It's
I'm just
someone
trying to
under
contain
God's
to your
law
vetting process,
asking
that's all.
permission. We don't do licenses. That's permission.
Right. And I understand that, but you brought up about licenses that would inhibit the vetting process from someone being vetted to be accepted. I was just wondering if a marriage license was falling in that category.
But I told you which licenses fall in that category, and you're not asking me why. I didn't say marriage license. I didn't say driver's license. I didn't say contractor's license. I didn't say school teacher's license. I didn't say any of those licenses. I don't believe in licenses because I don't ask nobody for permission. But the licenses we talk about are British. A doctor or a nurse is military. You may not know it, but they are military doctors and nurses. Military meaning US. They are US citizens. They are British. That's why all these people are dying in hospitals and why you're not seeing care there. Because the military wants you dead. They are not your military. A real estate license. That real estate license is royal. That is British. And because of the Treaty of Paris, U.S. citizens are British. U.S. citizens cannot own property because of that Treaty of Paris. The Crown cannot own property, and the Crown owns all the U.S. citizens as their servants, their slaves, and anything associated with the Crown cannot own property. It's why you can't go get a land patent. Then we said for it was real estate, medical, and insurance. Insurance is legalized gambling. It's a fraud anyway. We don't do those three. Those are the three main ones we look at in vetting, not licenses. And the question you're asking, you're like, man, is this where I want to be? I want to ask this question. Mike, we think the same way you do. We just don't accept the fact that that is us. We're American, alive, under God, standing on our land. That's it. We don't ask for permission. We don't force people to do things. all of the amendments are upheld up to the 13th. We don't go past that 13th. We do all the same stuff. We just don't acknowledge the fact that we're a US citizen. We're not. We're American. We're not the all caps name. We have claimed all those names back. We do the same stuff. So the questions you're asking are you already know the answer. You already know all the answers of what we do. You just don't realize the difference between US citizen and American, and that's not you. When you realize that, you'll be like, oh, holy cow, I can go grab a seat right now on Michigan because I already know all this stuff. A lot more than some of these people coming in brand new. You've already studied, you've already learned a lot of stuff. You just didn't realize you're American instead of US citizen, and that there is a difference. Go ahead, Nancy.
So one of the things that we teach on our litigation committee is what we call the name game. Okay. And when we reclaim our birthright, we dry dock these vessels that are called the ward of the state, the transmitting utility, the other one. So there's a name game going on, right? And those are corporations created from the birth certificate trust that they did in fraud. These are all traded throughout the world so that they could create FRNs out of nothing for the Federal Reserve. We dry dock our vessels and bring them over to the land and soil and take ownership and possession of those. That is not us. Those are vessels.
Yeah. And if you want to know the common, Mike, where I'm telling you, you already know, we don't believe in licenses. We don't believe in paying taxes. We believe in private plates, but we also know that then you got to fight them. But we also know how to fight them in that court. We also know the processes of writing off debt. We all the stuff you mentioned, we get it. We do all the same stuff. Do we get pulled over and say, hey, and I guess like me, end up in handcuffs? What's the crime? No victim, no crime. Then we go after him. We go after him in court for deprivation of rights under color of law. We do all those same things, but we're able to do even more, because regardless of me going after a cop for that, like you are by yourself, you know how to do it. Do we talk to the sheriffs? Yeah. Do we talk to our local governments? Yeah. Do we tell them that they're below us? Yeah. Do we tell them that their badge is nothing more than a Walmart security guard? Yeah, we sure do. We tell them all that stuff, but we try to tell them that the one thing that's missing here is them, because they're American. They're fooled. They were fooled into thinking that they were working for us, but they're working for Walmart. They're working for a corporation, not for us. We do all the same stuff. But the only reason why we're able to get away with it is because we are American. And then rather than just you fighting, now you have a whole assembly that is seated and recognized by the military, sending those documents to the court. You want to deal with a local judge and fight this, or IRS and fight that and all that? We go straight to the top. We notify them right at the top. We're here. We're seated. Our elections are done properly. Everything. And they can't say nothing about it. We invoke Milligan ex parte because we're there. We let them know in writing. We spend a lot of money in mailings per state to send out these writings so that they know we're here and they know that they have been notified. We have return receipts for every document we've ever sent, but we're not sending it as me. We're sending it as we. And that's a lot stronger. A lot stronger. When an assembly steps up and talks together, good luck. Because now you got a whole bunch of people. And if they were to call all of us together and go to Washington, D.C., it wouldn't be peaceful because you would have military show up because they don't know what the hell to do when 70,000 Americans show up on their foreign land, foreign to us. We can't go there. They'll kill us. It's their land. But it's the same thing here. They're on our land. Their courts are foreign to us. We don't speak their language. You know, if you're as educated as I think you are, just like we are, you have been all through this dictionary. Am I correct? Do you know why a dictionary is made?
Dictionaries, yeah, dictionaries are to define a language.
To define a language. So this isn't our language, right?
Correct.
This language is foreign to us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't speak this language. I don't speak it. I was taught with Webster's dictionary. This book says understand means I stand under the crown, but Webster's dictionary means I comprehend what you're saying.
Right.
I understand. So you get all these people that have learned, I comprehend. Like, no, go ahead. You can say I understand because we were taught in Webster's dictionary. Understand means we comprehend what you're saying. But don't say understand in here because they say stuff and all of a sudden you're in the dictionary like, oh, hang on, I don't know this language. Let me find the right word. And then you realize that it's a language. And if you don't put the words in the proper spots, now the language has an accent.
Mm-hmm.
It's all wrong there too. And if you're not taught the rules of civil procedure to go in there to the court on your own and fight, they'll tell you, you better know the rules of civil procedure. You go learn the rules of civil procedure and come back and tell me how many times you see Admiralty Maritime. Where do you find an admiral?
On the high seas.
On a ship.
Yep.
It's not us. We're not out at sea. Why would we be going into a foreign court that we don't speak their language on our land? They put that court there to deal with their people. They're U.S. citizens. I'm American. I don't speak that language.
Right.
You're on my land. I'm not going to say, here, this is in my name and you're pulling me in and all that. You're going to hear, or maybe not, you're going to feel something. You probably won't hear the bang. It's not me. I have, and not just me, but most of us have a passport. Our passports have 5 zeros for the postal district. We live on the land. We're not in their district. And we come out from our land on our horse and we come down in and all of a sudden we see signs of speed limits and license and this and that. And you can't do this. Don't go fishing. Don't go hunting. You got to have a license. So like, what in the hell are you talking about? I just came down to get some food before I go back up the mountain on my horse. I don't know your laws. I don't know what you're talking about. And when the hell did you get here? This is my land. You talk about a license. I don't need a license. But they keep people like you keep trying to fight in their system when it's not you. You're American under God with sovereignty. And once you learn how to be that sovereign, you're royalty, and you won't take anything less. You won't take anything less from the people in your government because you're sovereign just like they are. You better talk to me with respect, and I will talk to you with respect. You better talk to the women here with respect, because when you piss off a queen, off with your head. That's what she says. They're powerful too. We're all powerful. They don't need a king to be a queen anymore. That was what we were freed from, a king's rule. They can still be a queen without a king. It's a whole different thing when you realize I'm sovereign and I'm just not going to take it. And when you realize I'm not a slave and I'm not going to take it, I don't care how many times you whip yourself on or whip me on the back. I am finally free. If they want to lock me up for whatever I do, go ahead. But I'll be locked up free. I'm a free man. My soul is free, my mind is free. And that is under God. And when you lock that up, you better watch out, because I'm going to unleash that inside your building.
Okay.
So, may I?
Hey, Lisa.
Paul, we're 3 hours and 7 minutes in.
Yeah, that's like rookie time compared to the 7-8 hours I used to do, but
Well, you're older now.
yeah, I'm older.
Call me a rookie, but I'm old, so.
As long as people asking questions or whatever, I would stay and answer. I mean, that's the way I just always was. You know, I know we have time limits and got to shut stuff down or which is fine. I don't mind it either. But if there's somebody that wants to learn, I'll always be there to teach them. But if there are no more questions, it was another great call. Hope you guys learned a lot. And Mike, look into it more. Reach out to Michigan and talk to them.
Okay.
We're around too.
I posted my email in your chat.
They have it.
Okay.
Yes. Thanks everybody for participation. I mean, takes all of us.
Yeah, it does. That's our government talking together, and here in multiple states. I love it,
All right. Thanks, guys.
Good night, everyone.